CMPRadio.net. It's the station.
I got loyalty, got royalty inside my DNA. Cocaine quarter piece, got war and peace inside my DNA. I got power, poison, pain, and joy inside my DNA. I got hustle, though, ambition, flow inside my DNA. I was born like this and born like this, immaculate conception. I transform like this, perform like this, wish out you a new weapon. I don't contemplate, I meditate, then off your fucking head.
All right, good evening.
What's up, man? It's been a minute. How are you, bro?
It has, man. It has been a minute. I'm doing well, man. Everything is good. Family's good. Just working.
Good, man. All is well, man. And I just want to welcome everyone back to The Narrative, man. My name is Malcolm Yates.
I'm Andrew Nelson, and this is The Narrative.
Absolutely, man. Family's good. Everything is good, man. It's just a pleasure to be back back here, and let's talk about the narrative, man, and how we going to change, create, or redefine it. Yeah. Absolutely.
Speaking of redefining the narrative, I can't think of a better word than to talk about in transition than this stuff with LeBron, right? LeBron speaking on the current situation. I really like that. What you think about that?
Yeah, you know what it is, man. I think what LeBron did is at first he was quiet,
right,
and he really didn't want to get involved with it, right? It seems like he just gave us the normal, regular, answer that our superiors expect us to give, right?
Right.
So then when the whole Jerry Jones thing came out, he started to see that narrative.
Right.
And he started to recognize and say, yeah, you know what? What's up, man? Like, hold on. And I'm so grateful that he's seen that and used this platform to call it out.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because if he didn't call it out, all we can do is, have shows like ours to try to speak upon it.
Right.
But talk about it at the water cooler, talking about it at home, talk about it online. But no one really give that national light to it. Like, yo, the narrative with the popular media shows that you only care when it's us against everyone else instead of, protecting us as well or calling it against us.
Understood. And I especially like the way he did it because it was balanced, right? So a lot of times I think that when celebrities speak out, it's emotionally charged, right? Like it's full of a lot of their anger or whatever it is that they got going on. So their real message tends to get missed. But I think LeBron did a good job navigating that where he was like, all right, look, I'm going to be balanced in this. And I want to acknowledge this was a very long time ago. Right?
Yeah. And you're right, because he was calculated on that,
He was very calculated.
He sat back and you see him really analyzing and how he was going to say it without it coming off negative, because if we would have came off emotional, angry, and yelling,
then it would have been missed.
He would have created that narrative of an angry black athlete, right?
Right. And they would have told him shut up and dribble or something like that.
Shut up and dribble.
So I respect that. And then also he was like, and look, I don't even want you to answer.
Yeah.
I like really that. Just kind of want to make this statement.
I just want you to show.
Drop the mic.
Yeah. He's like, I'm gonna put this right here in your face.
Right.
I'm gonna show you how you did wrong. Don't even try to fix it now, because that's what they try to do. No, it's already too late.
Right.
Because if I sat here and gave you the time, I gave you enough space to ask me, and it never happened. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I especially like that, man. I think the way that he handled it was classy. It was strategic.
That's right.
And overall, his message was heard loud and clear, right? And I think it's true. Yeah. I think he's absolutely right. Like, give the same energy in all situations.
We need that, right?
Right.
But see, here's the thing, though, right? And here's my antagonistic or my program, whatever the other word is, right? Yeah. But here's my mind. I'll go against this, right? Why is it that we got to look for they to help us, right? Why is it that, you guys ain't ask us? You guys look like Jerry Jones.
Right.
Will they really ask us?
Right.
Right. So where's our media? Where's our reporters? Where's the folks that supposed to ask the hard questions? Like I'm not saying Roland Martin didn't, but like a Roland Martin, like a Stephen A, like those guys who can put it in Jerry's face and stand up and ask those questions to those offenders, like
Well,
they did
I mean,
for
Stephen A. defended
yeah.
Jerry.
Yeah.
So I don't.
Yeah. I struggle with Stephen A's response.
Yeah.
And again, I'm such an even balanced person. I think my gift and my curse is that I can see both sides of the story.
Right.
I see why he defended him.
Right.
But then the black in me said, "Nah, son, is you was there. You held part of that history. You are on the side of the history books that prevented us to do the progression or go through the progression that we wanted to."
That's a fact.
14-9. And I'm always a key that says, don't charge me to what we done at 14, 15 years old.
Right.
But I haven't heard Jerry Jones apologize.
Right.
I didn't see the 7 to-do lists to get
Right.
back in the good graces of
Right.
Black America. I didn't see the NFL suspend him for X amount of games to come back.
Right.
So until that happens, I'm always going to be like, he needs to do more.
Right. I agree with that. Like, because even so, I think that there's no chance that they're going to suspend him. But I think that if it was anybody else that looked like us, right, they would have been forced to denounce.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And I think that he could have, at the very bare minimum, if he cared, made a statement that he denounces that today and where he stood today.
Exactly.
But I don't know that that's going to come.
But why, and you're right. I don't know, and I don't think so. You know, because like they do that all the time. When Kevin Hart got in trouble, he had to go back and apologize. Right. When everybody get in trouble for what they did as kids, they have to go back and apologize.
Right.
So why does it stop with him?
I mean, you're right. Matter of fact, I feel like this is a platform. Maybe we need to call him out. Jerry Jones, I need you to denounce that photo. Right. Like I feel.
Yeah,
Because why not?
Yeah, I agree
right?
with
Like,
you.
where do you stand today? It's a bunch of Cowboys fans out there that y'all supporting. Y'all putting his grandchildren through school and stuff like that, right? Where does Jerry stand today is my thoughts, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was, like Stephen A. said a whole bunch of years ago. It was a lifetime ago. It
was.
Nonetheless, it surfaced today in 2022. And where do you stand on it now?
He has to come through. He has to say it because I don't want to hear, he employed so many African-American players, so many black players. But guess what? If you can, guess what those black players did? They made the Dallas Cowboys him a lot of money.
They sure did.
So is it because he
profited off of it.
Exactly. So is it business or was it personal?
Right.
Because I think it was business.
Definitely business.
Because if I can get the best athletes and the best product to make me rich, I'm going to get the best product regardless of how I feel about it.
Furthermore, I go as far as to say that if I'm rich and I'm racist, I don't know that it's mutually exclusive that I can't still be a rich racist knowing that I own black football players.
Because that's What's the title of it? What's his title?
Owner.
I
don't know if they mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
Like, dude, whatever.
Yeah.
So, moving on from that one.
Yeah. But Jerry, you definitely need to address it.
Right.
And I'm not sure if he did because I didn't really quite follow his response because unfortunately it wasn't as
publicized.
Access to like the Kyrie response as if the LeBron response. So
he did have a response?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a shame because I didn't see it on Sports Center every 5 minutes like LeBron said. I didn't see it on CNN.
Right.
I ain't hear it on any other political news. I just didn't hear anything else about it.
Right. I wonder if a lot of that has to do with social conditioning.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Right. I mean, I think just the response from the reporters and how media try to sweep it under is the exact example of what social conditioning is. Oh, it's against the black folks, so it's not really that important.
Right.
So let's sweep it under the rug.
Creating that environment.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So to make sure I'm understanding this right, the argument is that as long as I can socially condition you to know that you're the one that has to get in line when it's time, and the same will not apply to, let's say, owners, if you will.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've been socially conditioned to always see that we're second.
Right.
Or third.
Right.
Or less than.
Right. And the media plays a role in that.
I think everything kind of plays a role into our social condition, even ourselves, man.
Oh, for certain.
Even ourselves, and we get so beat down and get taught the rhetoric at a young age. That social condition. I remember on it was this 60 Minutes joint where they was doing like the white baby and the black baby, and he said which baby is bad.
Yeah, I did see that study.
That's
Right.
social conditioning, and that became so prominent that it starts with children,
Right.
And that's so scary that a lot of the children saw the black baby as the bad baby,
Right.
Like, where did that come from?
I'm not really sure. I do want to analyze that a little bit, as a matter of fact, though, because I think we could break it apart. But so the way my brain work is, I gotta apply like some other experience that I've analyzed,
Okay.
right, and use that kind of like a lens to look at this. So the best or the strongest experience that I have in my mind of social conditioning, I could probably speak about, and then we can analyze it against that.
Okay,
Is my time in the military. So
talking about conditioning.
yeah,
my
I would
gosh.
very much argue that boot camp, by and large, for every sense of the purpose, is social conditioning. So to
Why is
start
that?
out, right? Well, so first of all, when you first get down there, right, you arrive, and I can only speak specifically about Marine Corps boot camp, right? Because that's the only one I've been to.
Okay.
Hoorah, Semper Fi. So when you first arrive, you arrive at night, which I think off the rip is disorienting.
Of course.
Right? So you're going through, I went to Paris Island.
Oh.
And when you're riding on the bus, it's at night, your head is down, you don't know what's going on, so it's confusing. It's already creating this environment. So the first thing that I want to point out is fear, right? They're utilizing fear
And separation.
and separation. Yeah, because you're away from your family, but the separation goes even more. So boom, so you get there, right? And then they use chaos. It's loud with simple instructions and a lot of movement. So you go in and you go into this thing called receiving, and before you get in, you say a speech, and I don't want to give too much detail because if you really want to know, go earn it, right? But you walk up and you recite this speech, and it's a speech that every other Marine who's passed through Paris Island has spoken, right? So fear, and then the second thing is like rituals, right? Recurring rituals
right.
that help you connect to, right? So connecting rituals, and then you go in and then you go through these series of changes, like where you walking through these different baskets and you're getting all your gear, and then you get your hair cut, and then before you know it, you've shedded all of your individualism,
That's right.
right?
That's right.
And you look like everybody around
right.
you, right? Everybody is the same, uniformed. And then furthermore, you get conditioned to where you no longer say I. Like there is no I have to go to the bathroom. This recruit requests permission to go to the bathroom. Not even we. Because
Oh, you don't even have a name.
Yeah, because we we implies that you still have an identity.
That's right.
So this recruit, it's separating yourself and making you tapped into the larger whole.
Wow.
Right? So social conditioning and indoctrination, right? So now you got to change your speech. You got to change your maneuver, like the way your
right.
mannerisms.
Yeah.
Which in turn, you change your way of thinking. And then one cool thing about it, cool or brainwashing, whichever way you want to look at it. But I mean, so from my nerd perspective, it was pretty cool to watch how everything in the ecosystem, from the drill instructors to the environment, everybody that worked on base in the environment, everybody involved in your process of life understood that you're a recruit and you have to live in this closed system. And then as you go on in the military, that system still remains closed to allow you to function in that manner.
Absolutely.
Right? So that's the only social conditioning that I can understand. So I guess now that we take that, how can we analyze it against what goes on in our world to make kind of social conditioning? Like what ways do we see fear and indoctrination and a collective effort to ensure that these fears and indoctrination remain embedded to create these outcomes?
That's a good question, man, and it makes you think about really what has been conditioned in us,
Right.
You know, over time. What
Right.
fears was it, right? What is it that paralyzes us as a
Right.
community
Right.
in a way, right?
Right.
And you really opened up a good dialogue on that, and I'm sitting here trying to think about some things that we are socially conditioned to do, right? We are, for one, it comes to mind is we get kind of scared when it goes to fear of honestly stepping up to lead, bro. You know, we are conditioned to always analyze, dissect, and pretty much just hate anyone who decides to become or fulfill a void that's necessary.
Right.
What makes you that guy?
Right.
Who
right,
are you?
Right.
I'm you.
Right.
Right. So I think that's another social conditioning that.
For sure.
That-
To where
that's-
we're not able to work together and support people.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
So, and I think fear drives that,
Yeah.
right? Fear that I don't want to be the person that's going to be without.
Yep.
Right, because that's part of it, right? Because we waking up without having off the rip, right? We don't have Maslow's met,
Right.
In the hood, in our communities, right? So I think that's part of it. So that's part of the indoctrination, right? Of
Yep.
course, you're gonna act poor and exhibit poor behaviors if you got poor all around you, right?
Yeah. You hit it on the nose. And I was just listening to something earlier that fear for not having,
Right.
honestly leads a lot of the issues that we have in the community when it comes down to violence, when it comes down
Absolutely.
to issues, because it's not the Jordans that people want.
Right.
It's
It's what
the
it means.
status.
That's
Yeah,
correct. The
yeah, man.
status,
It's
yeah.
not about the necklace. It's
Yeah.
about the status that it presents.
Right.
And we've
'Cause
been
when you at the bottom
socially
for so long,
Yeah.
and you tired of it.
That's right.
And you work hard.
That's right.
You tired of getting treated this way, so you hoping like, look, if I appear to have this status, then it's gonna make me.
If
it's
I
gonna
get
fill
the
that void.
check
Yeah.
mark, right? If
Yeah.
I got these check marks, then I don't appear to be broke, or
Right.
I don't appear to be considered amongst the poor, right? So that's why people like the bags that they like. That's why we like the cars that we drive, because it's not about the quality. Well, the quality is pretty good, but it's not about the quality. It's about the symbolism of it.
Right.
You know.
And then how much does the music and the content we consume contribute to that fallacy, right? Because I remember growing up, every rap video I saw looked the same.
Word.
Most of the songs that I heard sounded the same.
Word.
And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know a lot of people from the hood who controls distribution and airtime.
You know what, man?
So maybe that could be part of creating the environment.
You're absolutely right, and it kind of takes me back to being a teenager back in the day when I don't know if you remember this. I'm a little older than you, but it was a woman called C. Dolores Tucker, right? And Tupac was saying it, and in one of his raps, he was like, C. Dolores Tucker and Senator Bob Dole, you can't censor us, right? And they went on this whole campaign about,
about
the
not
music,
censoring the
right?
music. I
Censoring
remember that.
music,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Yep.
And as a child, I was sitting there like, yo, leave my music alone. It's not the music. It's not the music. I know how to, disassociate myself. I know what to take out. I know what to put in, right?
Right.
But honestly,
That ain't
now
entirely
the
true.
music is the
Driver.
driving force.
I agree with that.
Because our community, we are born from, like, our DNA is music, right? We go by the drums,
drum, yep.
right? So if you put messaging in the drums,
Right.
it's only going to feed our self-conscious.
More social conditioning.
More social conditioning.
And then the message that's in the music is very destructive.
It's too destructive, man.
Yeah.
To the point where, like they say, back in the 80s, it was, uplifting each other. Then we went to the 90s as the drug dealers.
Right.
Everybody wanted to be a drug dealer then,
Right.
right?
And then now
so
it's the
now
drug
we got the
users.
drug users
Right.
and the drill, right?
Right.
So now everybody is either on drugs and want to be drill.
Right.
So we have to figure out, a balance
Right.
to that, right?
Right.
And it's okay if you're reporting on your community. That's what hip hop is supposed to be, reporting on
Absolutely.
your community.
Reporting live, yeah. But
But-
it need to be our stories in full
It's right in full,
and not just one small
one little niche.
Yeah.
Because they allow everybody. I mean, they allow our music to talk about, to put out the bad in our music. They'll let anybody talk about us as much as possible. But the minute you talk about another culture, the
Right.
minute you talk about another gender,
Right.
the minute you talk about another race,
Right.
it's bleeped. Have
Right.
you ever noticed that?
I have. Furthermore, did you notice that all of the rap songs we have, because there was a TED Talk, I forget the gentleman's name, but he spoke about how he went to a couple of different record labels and asked about playing some content, and he was like, "Can I play this on your station?" And they were like, "Absolutely not." I think the content was like about killing and all. Or no. He said, "I want to give some content about." Maybe he said like xenophobia, and they were like, no. And basically, then he said, well, what about? I want to give some content about violence, and he said, well, that depends. And he said, on what?
seen that.
He said, on who it's marketed
it's
to,
marketed
because
to.
it showed that there's a market for violent songs and with black music.
In
so
hip-hop
if it's on
culture.
rap,
Exactly,
right?
yep.
So boom, fast forward. he also tied it in. He was like, nobody is asking the question that, and all of the toxic, disrespectful things that you've heard a lot of the rappers say. And he said, but the one time when Rick Ross really got checked was when he made a comment that alluded to date rape, and he said, and then people got pissed off. But a couple of lines before then, he alluded to hurting somebody,
murder,
and nobody said nothing at all.
Shoot up the block.
So
in this, in that, right, and nobody say nothing.
So he was saying, he said, "Where's the outcry?"
Wow.
And I think that, so now when you, to tie all of this in, right? So I think that the social conditioning, not only does it normalize some of these behaviors that we hear in a song, but I also think that because of our prior social conditioning, that's why we don't have like a collective voice.
That's right.
Because the outcry really supposed to come from within.
It's supposed to be us.
Right.
We supposed to be out crying. We keep
Right.
asking other people to cry for us. Like, it's not going to work.
Right.
You know, it's not going to work.
Right.
And we've been so socially conditioned to accept bullshit.
Right. I agree.
You know,
I agree thoroughly and wholeheartedly.
yeah, man.
So another driver, it's because you talked on the communities and the violence. I wanted to speak on this. There's been like studies done all across the board that show that for every area where there's low income, it correlates high crime. And that it doesn't matter the color.
No.
Right? That transcends
Economic
race.
conditions, man.
It's economic conditions contribute to violence.
Exactly.
They've known this. When I say they, I mean government, I mean science, I mean social sciences. This information has been known at least since the 70s, maybe before, right? And the response was to aggregate low income. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me unless the goal is I want to keep low income in one spot because we know it will have high crime. So then I can then have a police department, a fire department.
We can control them.
Control. How we looking on time? Because I don't want to go over. So I'm thinking that can go into the same concept of control for social conditioning.
Yeah.
And then I'm just wondering, again, how much of this is a mistake, right?
What mistake? How? What you
Well,
mean?
because all of this social conditioning is occurring. It can't be argued that anybody in the hood, let's talk regardless of color. If you're in the hood, if you're in a low income neighborhood, you're not the one controlling said conditioning.
You don't control
right?
that. Yeah.
So where is this social conditioning come from? And if there's social sciences that show on how we can take away or build up, because in the same way that we got built into a team in the Marine Corps, it looks like the exact opposite, using the same type of fear and indoctrination is being used on low income communities, specifically low income black communities,
absolutely.
to break apart the team.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can see that just with our city here.
Right.
They put a highway through the middle of the city. That was on purpose.
That was absolutely on purpose.
And then it's the only city that don't have the highway dividers that for the soundboard.
Right.
Why is that?
Right.
That's economic racism right there. And so, man, it's how do we change that they? It starts, honestly, and it sounds corny, but it starts from at home, man. It really does. It starts from one, educating yourself.
Right.
Right. Then educating those around you.
Right.
And then you indoctrinating your own children on the way things supposed to go.
I agree.
So that now we can get at least trying to break that generational curse of social conditioning.
Right.
Right.
They can pick up the baton.
Yeah, man.
And advance it forward.
Because if our children see the same thing we saw, they're only going to repeat the same mistakes, right?
I don't know, Malcolm. It sounds like you dangerously saying that you think that the power structure of our change is going to lie within the family.
It
structure.
relies strictly on a solid home family unit.
Right.
Whatever it looks like.
Right. Whatever
right?
it look like, we just need to have
We
strong,
need
solid
to
families
make that the way it
working
is.
together collectively as a
Collectively.
team. Right.
Men working with women, women working with men, sons getting raised by their father and their mother, daughters getting raised by their father or their mother. But it has to be a community-based what they say, village, man.
Right.
And it sounds corny,
but
though, right?
It's real, though.
It's real talk.
And I would even argue that every other culture has figured out the necessity of the village and uses it to their
Everybody
advantage.
got the village.
Right. Let's talk about who.
Why
though.
everybody got the village,
So-
but we got the hood?
I know, right? Again, so I wonder again if this is by design.
Is man.
And then maybe in the next episode we could discuss
yeah, we gotta talk about that.
ways on how we could
'Cause you got
break down that
Chinatown.
design. Chinatown,
You got
right?
Little Italy,
Right.
Right.
You
You got
Little Cuba,
you got small
Havana
yeah,
in
right.
Florida,
Yep,
Little Havana,
exactly.
so you got the Cuban
right?
population.
You got Little Haiti,
Little Haiti,
right?
Right.
And all these communities are small knit community that rely on one another and back one another, right?
Absolutely. They keep
soon-
their money within their community.
Yes.
They keep their geography together, right?
And even the what is it, the Mideastern Indians, right?
Absolutely.
They do arranged marriages.
They sure do.
They're so they're so tight on their community,
Right.
that dog, you can't even get in here because guess what?
Right.
My daughter is going to marry your son.
Right.
And we're going to make sure that your son is of lineage,
Right.
of value,
Right.
to marry my daughter so that we
Right.
can continue to keep that in.
Right.
But you know what, though, and what I realized, and we can talk a little bit more on later, is that it's okay for everyone else to do it.
Right.
But as soon as black folks say we want to do it,
Right.
we get kind of looked at as we racist.
Well, nah, I'm not at all racist. I don't at all teach.
And that's the only time I think black folk is
Right.
ever called racist,
I
when
agree
we
with that.
decide to say, let's just keep it home.
Yeah. Well, so I'm gonna say that we need to absolutely aggregate and utilize our community in the same manner that every single other culture does. And I don't in any way, shape, or form think that we should hate anybody.
No.
Teach any kind of hate.
No.
But understand that the only way we gonna be able to move going forward and be successful is if it comes from a collective community perspective.
Right.
There ain't never been a more important time for us to really truly close ranks, aggregate, and build ourselves up as a community instead of just being hoods than now.
Yep.
Especially as we see federal protections roll back that we
Because
talked about.
pro-black does not mean anti-white.
It doesn't.
Pro-black doesn't mean anti, any other different culture. It's just you are being supportive and just making sure that your culture is being protected.
Agreed. And I think we could come up with a really good game plan on the next episode to do that.
Word, absolutely. Well,
This is my heritage, y'all.
so
I'm
any other
inheriting
last-
money and power.